everybody, Rax here. March the 5th. It's Thursday, March the 5th. Time marches on. Okay. 100,000. Still not 100,000. What I hear today, 95,200. Creeping up on that 100,000. It's almost as if, you know how we see things here. I'd say it's almost as if, whenever I mean it is, not being reported. Well, we know everything's underreported, so even if those were the best numbers anybody had, it would still be over 100,000, and that's what I've been talking about. There's a reason for that. That 100,000 is a psychological barrier. The people that report know it. The people in control know it. You know it. It doesn't really change a thing, although we can have 3,000 plus that are almost passed away through the disease, and 100,000 or so suffering. Now, good news, 50,000 have made it. 50 plus made it through. They're on the other side. They are most likely immune. God bless them. Thank you, Lord. Thank you so many. Bless us. Thank you for the 50,000. Just so many more. But what will be the outcome whenever that 100,000 is finally announced? I don't think it's ever going to be announced. I think it's going to creep up on a reported. Or maybe they'll just quit saying November. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but there's going to be an outcome from that because what's going to happen in the psychological barrier. People that were not taking action start taking action. And that could cause a scare. Now, one thing I will notice, and it's interesting that they waited until this 100,000 was looming, but now it's officially a pandemic. Is something changed? No, nothing's changed. The name pandemic. Pandemic doesn't change a thing. It was quite a while back. But those who get to declare the name have declared the name, and we know pandemic. Like it isn't yesterday. Well, I don't know about that. But it is what it is right now. So what's the good news? Is it slowing down? If you look at some of the numbers that come out of China, it's the new cases, it's not as big every day as it is in China. Assuming that would mean you're believing that what's reported is true. However, if it's being reported, I think a lot of that is to control the masses, and certainly stirring up hysteria is not a good idea. And this is not intended to. And please, do not spread hysteria. This is a war. We got to fight it, and we can't fight it by losing our heads and running around the clock. So that's the good news. There's a low number of U.S. cases compared to what we were seeing that there would be at this time. That's good. It's only a handful of people if you consider the standard flu. But that's really not what this is. This isn't standard flu. Be prepared for what's looming. There's some crazy things going on. I'd like to compare Italy with Spain. Italy in the year 2020 with Spain in the year circa 1917. 1919, sometime in that time frame. The Spanish flu. I've only talked about that a little bit here, but people are coming out with little tidbits about how the similarities, let's put it that way. It's a similar virus. It spread all over the world. It was a different time. Medical practices were considerably different, but not as antiquated as some have portrayed. However, some of the things were so much the same. And why do we call it the Spanish flu? Because it started in Spain? Because there was a lot of cases in Spain? The answer to both of those is maybe. It appears through studies, which how would I verify, that the Spanish flu started in a army barracks in, is it Oklahoma? Kansas. I think it was Kansas. Spread very quickly through there and through other bases, which became quarantined, and kept quiet because people were coming back from a world war. The fear of a pandemic was not part of the plan at that point. News was suppressed in the US and Britain, most of Europe. But Spain really didn't participate in World War I. And when they started getting cases, they reported it. To the point where it appeared, if you only read the newspaper or followed the news, wow, look at all these cases of flu that are in Spain. Because all those guys at the army barracks were not reported. And others. So the news and the lack of proper journalism or the lack of governmental assistance in providing data made it look like it came from Spain. So they called it the Spanish flu. Interesting that when this current coronavirus, COVID virus, Wuhan virus, whatever you want to call it, it's been given an official name. For those of you who wonder why I always say official, reference some of the past videos. But there was, even in the news as indicated, when it was renamed from coronavirus or novel coronavirus or Wuhan flu, the World Health Organization, we have a name that does not indicate where it came from, including any species that it may have come from, or any country where it may have come from, or any indication thereof. So they came up with COVID-19, coronavirus 2000. Because calling it anything that would indicate China may be politically incorrect. That hasn't gotten us anywhere yet. We'll call it COVID-19. I don't, that's fine. But this political correct thing, it's killing us. It's just absolutely killing us. So nonetheless, it is called what it's called. But why the other one was called the Spanish flu and comparing Spain to Italy might be incredibly interesting. Italy apparently reported what it had right away, took actions right away, and it looks like it spread faster in Italy than almost anywhere. Well, Europe with their open borders, things happen. But is Italy the new Spain as far as, well, it's obviously, they don't call it the Italian flu, but I think you understand what I'm saying. If you report openly and honestly, it appears that you have it worse than others. Where in fact, don't touch your face, by the way, we do this thousands of times a day, we gotta stop. We really gotta stop. That's where the masks might come in handy. Back to Italy. I mean, there were no cases, then there were a couple cases, then we have deaths, then we have outbreaks, and within weeks, we have the country shut down. Schools are shut down, venues are shut down, any major meeting is shut down. I applaud them. It's the only way you'll stop this thing. Now, you may have a horrible economic consequence from all that, which in the long run might turn out to be just fine. Do you want a horrible economic outcome or a much horrible death toll? Much more horrible death toll. I think we understand where we're going here. We gotta do what we gotta do. Now, our President Trump, he shut the borders down quick. They didn't have any indication of it being a problem in the United States, or at least not reported. And he shut down borders. He shut down travel. He shut down lots of areas, some that we don't even know about, quickly. And of course, the Democrats said, "Oh, Trump." Well, it wouldn't have mattered what he did. They, come on, it just wouldn't matter. What does matter is he took action very quickly, and I applaud the man for doing it. I wish he were able to share a little more about why he did it. Perhaps he's doing the right thing in not causing pandemonium in the pandemicum. Pandemonium. Sounds almost like something I would have learned in Latin class. I heard a quip that the pandemic with a few letters missing is panic. We don't want that. There's no need for it. There just isn't. It doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever. However, there's a big difference between panic and taking appropriate action. That's the course we want to stay, is appropriate action. You're going to have to protect your family. You're going to have to protect your neighborhood. You're going to have to protect your life. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, there's some certain things we can do. The mask, wearing a mask. Okay, what is that for? It's little effect on whether or not you contract or spread the disease just by putting a mask on. Logically, it would make sense that it would stop some of the sneezing germs from getting out, and I get that. I'm okay with that. I understand that. But the reality is that the mask's primary function is to keep you from touching your face, as I pointed out. We as a public, as a person, as a human being, as anybody, not somebody, touch our face 1,000 times a day. I would guess that if you actually sat and looked at somebody who wasn't paying attention to you or trying not to, would touch their face at least once a minute. So hand to nose, mouth, eye, open cut, whatever. This is how the thing gets in. This virus apparently needs to get to the lungs to do its serious damage, but gets in there. Here, tear duct, straight to the nose, straight to the lungs. Okay. Hands, face, no. Hands, wash. You touch something, wash. You go out of your house, you're going to touch things. Wash. Washing helps. Does it cure it? No. Does it stop it? No. Does it slow it down? Absolutely. The stuff is in mucus. Mucus can be sloughed off with soap and water. Once it's sloughed off and dried and let the air dry, most of it's gone. Now, the billion or so virus particles that are in a droplet that could infect you, hitting you all at once, it's a kind of a known thing. One virus particle hitting you, getting in, infecting one cell, all of a sudden you still got millions of them. I can't tell you the answer to whether you can slow it down by minimizing. I can tell you when other people that have been touching their face have touched an elevator button, and then you touch it right behind them, and then you touch your nose or your eyes or your lips or anything that's going into your mouth, you get the idea. This is where it happens. If you stay in your home and don't let anybody else in there, odds are in your favor you won't get it. So these are things you can do. When your family is interacting in a daycare and the supermarket, it's a little difficult. So you got to do your best. You can't stop it, but you can do your best, and that helps. Slowing it down helps. This R naught thing is actually important, and you actually control, bad word. You actually affect that R naught number. You go out and lick elevator buttons all day, you're probably going to get all kinds of things. Don't do that. Shopping cart. You touch a shopping cart. You go to the post office. You get on a bus. Ooh, getting on a bus. Ooh. Subway, whatever. I don't have those here. But many people do. And many people rely on them. And they have to. So wear gloves outside. It's like you can get cheap gloves. They'll probably become unavailable shortly, as will many things. This is one of the problems that we have right now. See, there, I want to touch my nose. One of the problems we have is that a lot of the probably all of the protective equipment that we would be best to use is manufactured in, you guessed it, China. And they aren't going to work right now. And when they do start going to work, I don't think they're going to send all the gloves and all the masks to us. They're going to keep them until they have plenty, in which case it will be quite a while from now. So if you don't have any gloves and you don't have any masks and you're able to get some, get a few. Don't make it bad for somebody else. Don't hoard. On the other hand, the supply chain is about to drop off. Just plain old drop off. And if that's not bad enough, where do you think most of the drugs that we use are manufactured? Basically two places. India, they just cut exporting of quite a number of drugs. They talked about paracetamol here in the U.S. We don't know what that is. It's Tylenol. It's the same thing. They just call it paracetamol up in, I know UK, maybe other places as well. So when you hear paracetamol, they're just talking about Tylenol, acetaminophen. Interesting that it's made in India. But what's even more interesting, and of course that they've cut that off. It's whatever we have, and when the shelves go empty, it's gone.
Why am I looking at you?
Precursors to these drugs and a lot of antibiotics that were also cut off. And again, once the supply chain's empty, it's just gone. Now we all know antibiotics won't wipe out a virus, but they sure enough will help keep you from getting secondary infections when you have the virus. So they're important. But the precursors to these drugs, the raw materials that the drugs are made out of, mainly come from China. So we may be sitting here in a quiet lull right before the storm breaks. Yeah, we're right before the storm breaks. Right here, right now. It's a coming. So again, see what you have. Get what you need. Once the stores are wiped out, you just not going to get it. And hopefully, many people will have most of what they need. I can't stop stores from being ravaged. That's going to happen. It just is. It's not because I said it, and I'm not making it happen quicker. And by going and buying what you need now doesn't really make it happen quicker. It's just reasonable to go do. It's going to happen either way. The tree has already been cut down. It just hasn't fallen to the ground yet. It's coming. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So take care of yourself best you can. Be polite. Remember Rack's rules. Be polite. Don't engage. Get what you can reasonably get, that you need, and let it go at that, because it's all going to get scarce, and it's going to get scarce real quick. Now, we'll recover. Obviously, we'll recover. There are already plans to begin manufacturing many of the things that we now know I'm going to use the bad word should have never allowed to become dependent upon China, India, or anyone else for that matter. We should have not done that. We did because it was cheaper. Well, that's the way things work. Well, when it becomes cheaper and then it becomes unavailable and you come into need, you will quickly Start manufacturing it yourself here in the States. Don't waste. That's something we learned back in World War I and II and have completely forgotten about since. Don't waste. Learn now. Stop wasting food. We waste more than half the food that we buy. We waste it. If you have plenty and you only want to eat what you want to eat and you want to throw away half of it and not be careful when you're prepping and preparing food and such, and don't finish what's on your plate and just throw it out. Save it, eat it tomorrow. Leftovers are fine. We've forgotten all about that stuff. Remember the old guy that wouldn't waste anything? Yeah, we're gonna go through that again. We're all gonna learn that again, and then I guess in another generation, our kids will forget all about it again. It's pretty much the cycles that we go through. So expect that. Expect shortages. Expect long lines. But I can't tell you, what to do. And people will invest in this downturn, and some of them will. Here I go. Touch my face again. It's itchy today. Yeah, people are going to invest, and there's going to be fortunes made and fortunes lost. But that happens every day anyway. This isn't like the big story. It's just going to happen. That's all there is to it. But yeah, masks. But now I got to get to some things that are border on scary. Iran is not exactly a champion of freedom of speech. Not exactly a Rubicon of how to inform people of what's important. Iran, the people of Iran are beautiful, wonderful people. The ones I've known and met, just like any country, if you get to know some of the people, you get good, you get bad, you got what you like, what you don't like. It's just everywhere. Any culture, they're there. But they're people. They're people like you, people like me, people like them. They're just people. The government, on the other hand, that's another story. Is our government, I think our government's probably as good as they get. There may be others that are better, but the problem is, it was well put, democracy is a terrible form of government. It's just that it's so much better than all the other ones. So much better. Oh my goodness. But, at least you have a shot at self-correction with democracy. Not Democrats. Democrats and democracy, that's two different things. And are we a democracy or are we a republic? Read the Constitution. Read it. It's got some good stuff. It was well thought out. It was a true blessing for centuries, and it's the best form of government that man has ever put together. Now, there's a biblical form that's even better. We'll get to that later. But right now, when you're dealing with a country or a government, shall we say, such as Iran, something that's not really talked about much, but the Iranian leaders are scared to death. They live in fear, permanent fear of being overrun by their people. And that's why you see so much pressure, so much repression. Communism. You've got a government that will just slaughter people to prevent the government from being overrun. That's why they promote such strict rules and promote fear of the government. You will adhere. A theocracy like Iran, similar. They know that if the people find out what's really going on, they'll be overthrown. And in a bloodbath. A total bloodbath. And they're afraid of that. They're very afraid of that. So they suppress anything that would let the public realize just how much power they actually have. They don't know. So when something goes wrong, there's a virus all over, sweeping the world. Well, we don't have that. No, that's, we're protected by our Islamic traditions. They're not. Jewish, maybe. I got some pretty good hygiene rules. I applaud that. But even, not very many people still actually follow the Mosaic law. But if you did right now, you'd probably be persecuted just like the rest of them. And there's reasons why that occurs that we don't have time for right now. But Iran's a theocracy. It's ruled by people who use the Quran to dominate. They are in fear of being overthrown. Therefore, they suppress news. So therefore, in Iran, you saw, oh, we have no cases. We're fine. Then suddenly, the first cases are 2 deaths. Excuse me, please. I don't think that in a virus situation that the first cases are deaths. People catch it, they spread it, it takes time, more people have it, somebody dies, some other guy dies. Lots of people are already on ventilators, depending on the situation in the healthcare, whether or not they think it's pneumonia, think it's the flu, or all of a sudden they got overrun by a flu that used to only cause a few deaths. You get the idea. But within a matter of weeks, they've gone from a couple of deaths to thousands and thousands of cases and many, many deaths. And what's interesting is a large number of their ruling elite have it and are dying from it. It's a little hard to hide. I'm going to switch topics and come straight back to that. Yeah, you know how I do. Okay. What's the difference between a cruise ship and a prison? Now, obviously, a cruise ship, you pay to get on. In a prison, you pay by being there. Pay your debt to society. So, obviously, we got that slight difference. People would like to win a trip on a cruise ship. People would like to not win a trip to prison. But they're packed in at relatively the same density. And they interact with each other at relatively the same rate. They all get served by a minimal number of people all together. And they live in little cells, staterooms, packed in tight as can be. So a prison and a cruise ship. I've never been on a cruise ship. I've had opportunity to go on a cruise ship several times. But, it's funny. I really never back then thought, gee, this is just like being in a prison. How would I know either one, right? But the point is, look at it. Look at reality. A prison, a cruise ship. We kind of now know what can happen if somebody gets coronavirus on a cruise ship. I think, okay, so we have one situation where things went really badly. And in retrospect, they weren't handled all that well. If everybody was taken off of that ship, spread out, put in hospitals, put in quarantine, whatever, spread them out. That's the whole R naught thing, is spread them out. Probably would have seen a different result. Now, I'm not saying whoever made the decision to not do that is at fault. They didn't know. It seemed likely that the best thing to do was to contain it. And it turns out that doesn't really work. It can't be contained. All right, but we have a lot of prisons. I'm guessing more prisons than cruise ships. Some are packed in a lot of people. Really tight. just for a moment, just quiz me this. Any prison anywhere in the world, a large one with thousands of people in prison, and we have that. It just is. And somebody gets this virus. No matter how they got it. I'm not saying they did, didn't, or don't already. But one gets it, two get it, 10 get it, 100 get it. Pretty soon you've got a prison with 5,000 people in it, and 3,000 of them have this virus, and there's a pile of 400 bodies outside the place. Inside the place, wherever. You got to do something with them. You got to bury them, burn them, whatever it is. You're going to have a massive riot on your hands. Not only inside the prison, but outside the prison. There's this little thing about cruel and unusual punishment. Depends on where you live. Iran is not exactly well known for having a friendly prison system. But yet, if what I heard is correct, they just released 50,000 prisoners and told them, we'll let you know when it's time to come back. Now, I'd like to find the humor in that. And it's pretty obvious. I don't think they're going to be coming back voluntarily. But nonetheless, in your town, oh, I think you're getting it. This has already happened. Yeah, but that was in Iran. Yeah. Then, what about next week? What about next month? Oh, by the way, quick aside, we're going to come back to this, but no, I did not go to Denver. And to my darling granddaughter, happy birthday. Happy birthday from Grandu. He loves you, and he misses you, but it's okay. It was a good decision. Family made it together. We're good with that. I'll be up there when I can. Back to this. Back to this. This is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Everything that you've seen happen in one country or the next, haven't you seen yet? It's just a repeat of what you saw in the one before. Some it seems to go quicker, some it seems to go slower. Some probably has to do with the population density. Oh yeah, why did China shut down so much of their population? Because they know the population density in each area. And they know that the higher the population density, the higher the R naught. And if you just shut them down and say, look, just don't go anywhere. Sorry, it's hell. But this is what you're going to do. They will get to the point where they will shoot you if you move. Why? Because you're endangering the public. When you endanger the public, you could get shot anywhere. So something that has to be understood here. In a time of quarantine, the government, your U.S. government, has more power and can wield more power. There I go again. In time of quarantine than they can in time of war. Yeah. They can grab it. They can grab it quick, and they can make decisions that would be unbelievable into any real-time event. In your little town, 50,000 prisoners get released. So what? Give them $100 and say, go. We'll call you when it's time to come back. Is that the way it happens? I don't know, but if you gotta let them go, you gotta let them go. And it's not like you can arrange for places. There are none. You just let them go. So they band together. Some of them are just people like me and you. They just did something bad and they're in jail. They're scared to death. They're scared, more scared out than they are in. Except for they're out. They don't want to go back. They start grouping for their own protection. They're scared. They start making little mobs. Some of them are really bad guys, and they take over these little mobs. And they come pretty much take whatever they want. Your town is going to be under siege at that point. Will it happen? Let's just say this. When it does, and you think back, gee, I touched myself. Look at that. I did that. Gee, old Rax mentioned that. Yeah, gloom and doom. This ain't gloom and doom. This isn't science fiction. All I do is take the facts that are presented, the obvious facts. Try not to take the tainted facts, but the things that you can look at and see. And then do a little mathematical modeling on them. And then you present it, and here it is. It's terror. Be polite. Don't confront anyone. Prepare and protect yourself, your family, your loved ones. Band with your neighbors. It may be all you have. God loves you. This is a time to get close to Jesus. Why? Why are we here? This requires another couple of hours to discuss. Don't have it. We are created beings. We were put here for the purpose of worshiping God. God who knew that we had a sinful nature and knew that there was no way that we would ever be worthy of his presence. And therefore he sent his Son, who was and is and will be worthy, to provide the sacrifice, the slain blood of Jesus Christ to cover your sins, my sins, and the sins of all humanity. Because his number of sins was 0. And any number divided by 0 is infinite. He can cover it all because of that 0 sin nature. The only possible way, and he did it. He did it. It's provided for you. You accept that, and this world all of a sudden becomes bearable. All these horrible things that Raxus laid out for you. Totally bearable. Just fine. No panic in the street. Is reasonable. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Be polite. Be saved. Let other people know that there is a way out. And it's the gospel of Jesus Christ. I leave you with this blessing. May the Lord protect you. May he shine his face upon you. May he walk with you. And may he bring you and your family peace. Shalom.
We're gonna keep it low key, keep it softly spoken, with no strings tying you to me. I'm happy in your company with no